Hi friends, my name is Preksha, and in this set of videos, we are going to start learning about a new subject called rural ecology and environment. Now, hang on, I know what you're thinking. I am a rural manager, why do I need to be concerned with this subject? That's a great question. As rural managers, you will be working with and for rural communities. You will be working with them to improve their lives both economically and socially. We are all aware of the fact that our rural India depends heavily on agriculture and allied businesses for its livelihood. Developing a better understanding of the natural world is naturally going to help you become a more effective rural manager. Wouldn't you agree with me? Alright, so then let's get into it. So the first question that comes to our mind is, what is the environment? Well, it's a very simple answer. Everything that is not us. So that includes land, water, forests, and animals of all sizes, big and small, even those tiny little bacteria. The natural environment also includes the engagements that happen between all these components. Let's take an example. I'm going to name 4 different types of phenomena, and let me see if you can tell me which among these would be parts of natural environment. A, the water cycle. B, a tiger hunting a deer. C, water flowing in a canal. And D, a banana plantation. As you can see from these examples, we humans engage with our environment in a very different way. We build cities, farms, and many other activities through which we engage with our environment. Our ability to change our environment is what makes us different from the rest of the animal world. Now, as Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility, and our ability to change our environment is indeed our great power. The study of the environment and the ecosystem is a way in which we are trying to extend our responsibility. By studying this subject, what we hope to achieve is 2 things. A, to understand the environment better so that we can further our knowledge, and B, to help find solutions to some of the grave environmental problems that we as a world face. So, what does it include, this study? Well, of course, you all are studying to be rural managers, and it's not going to be that easy. Environmental sciences is a multidisciplinary field. It combines our knowledge of geography, physics, chemistry, life sciences, ecology, social sciences, soil sciences, geology, oceanology, mineralogy, natural history, and of course environmental engineering. Now, if you were an environmental scientist, you would probably be trying to find the solution to Delhi's pollution problems, or studying earth processes like volcanoes and hurricanes, or maybe trying to find alternative sources of energy. Or perhaps you'd be trying to find social implications of grazing on a common land. But you are a rural manager. So let's try and put on our thinking caps and do a little role play. The following story is one where you are a rural manager and you're going to be helping your community. Imagine that right after you finish your degree, you were appointed as a manager at Mahila Shakti Farmer Producer Organization that makes groundnut oil. After reading the annual reports, you realize that the production of oil is going down. So you try and figure it out. What is the problem here? One evening, you visit one of the producer members, a farmer named Kamlabai, and over a cup of tea, she tells you that the production of groundnuts in her farm has been steadily reducing over the last few years, even as she has been applying more fertilizer with each passing year. The same is the case with other farmers of her producer organization too. You tell her that you will try and find out why this is happening, and you set off. Next morning, you go to Kamlabai's farmland and decide to first check the quality of the soil. Does it have the right nutrients for the proper cultivation of groundnuts? You take soil samples from her farm and send it to a lab for soil testing. The lab technician informs you that they will take a few days before they can analyze the sample. So in the meantime, you decide to do a physical survey of the farmlands too. While on your survey, you speak to many other producer members. They tell you that the rains have been poor and that has affected the production of groundnuts. During your survey, you realize that the area has great potential for building small water harvesting structures. In a few days, the lab report also arrives and the verdict is clear. The soil quality is indeed very poor. It is very depleted in many macro and micronutrients essential for the production of groundnuts. Equipped with this information, you make a proposal that you will present to the group. Your proposal includes A. Providing training to farmers on the right amount of macro and micronutrients to apply, and B. Collaborating with the government to build a check dam in the village. Your proposal seems to impress everyone, and in the next 2 years, you see a steady improvement in production. Congratulations, you just combined soil sciences, geography, geology, and of course environmental engineering to give Kamlabai and her friends a great solution. As a rural manager and as a responsible citizen of this world, it is important for all of us to be concerned about our environment. There are many grave environmental problems facing us. Population pressures, urbanization, mining, pollution of land, water and air, deforestation, and to top it all, a lack of environmental awareness and ethics has created a very complex and difficult problem for all of us and our future generations. These problems affect us and all of the living beings on planet Earth. We must do our bit to reduce or at least lessen the burden of the environmental problems that are created by us. Well, thankfully and luckily, there are many individuals and organizations who are dedicated to this cause. Now, we are going to be visiting an organization in Alwar district of Rajasthan called the Tarun Bharat Sangh, and they have been doing some fantastic work since 1985. So here we go. In 1998, an article in the environmental magazine called Down to Earth recounted the story of how Ruparel, a river in the Alwar district of Rajasthan, was brought back to life. The dried up river was brought back to life by building johars, traditional rainwater harvesting structures. This work was done by villagers and a volunteer organization set up in 1985 called Tarun Bharat Sangh. These johars stopped rainwater from running off and helped retain rainwater. The impact of building these johars was that Ruparel now had water all year round. Women did not have to walk miles to fetch water, farmers could grow multiple crops, and animals in the nearby Sariska Tiger Reserve now had water to drink. Their work has been studied by many scholars. Among them is R.N. Athavale, emeritus scientist at the National Geophysical Research Institute in Hyderabad. According to his study, before Tarun Bharat Sangh's rainwater harvesting intervention, only 15% of the rainfall that naturally occurred recharged the groundwater. 50% of the rainfall was lost to either evaporation or transpiration. Another 35% was lost to seasonal runoff. Only 5% of the rainfall that was captured in the ground became soil moisture. Another 5% constituted the base flow, which basically means groundwater that returns to the surface of the stream, river. And of the remaining 5%, some parts were tapped by wells and used, and the rest percolated to depths below the wells and stream beds. After Tarun Bharat Sangh's rainwater harvesting structures were built, seasonal runoff has come down to 10%. Groundwater recharge has increased by 20%, soil has become more moist and groundwater table has risen. and although the base flow to the river has remained the same, 17% of this rainwater would now seep through the ground to the river in non-monsoon months. This phenomena has contributed to the revival of another river called Aravari and made it perennial. Over the years, Tarun, Bharat, Sangh has constructed more than 10,000 rainwater harvesting structures by collaborating with the local community and external donors. A study done by scientists from National Remote Sensing Center ISRO in 2015 observed that Tarun, Bharat, Sangh's work has led to major changes in the agricultural lands in Alwar district. They noted that farmers are now cultivating multiple crops and irrigation is available for longer periods now that the groundwater has become recharged. Non-agricultural land has also improved. They observed tall grasses and lush trees on lands that were earlier dry. Working on reviving and maintaining the environment has meant that Tarun, Bharat, Sangh and the local community has been able to revive rivers and bring economic prosperity to the land for one and all. And this brings us to the end of this video. I hope by now you can appreciate how important is it to study this subject. As rural managers, you will be working with and for rural communities, working to improve their collective economic and social futures. Now, as we are all aware, life in the village depends heavily on nature. Agriculture and allied businesses on which rural communities predominantly depend on for their livelihoods depends on nature. So then, obviously, a better understanding of the natural world will help us become better and more effective rural managers. So I hope that you enjoy this course and the rest of the videos that follow. Thank you.